Oh, I forgot the countdown, but we're on. I was so excited to have internet. So of course, everybody, let's do an audio check. Let's make sure that you don't hear the pop music above, or if you do, it's so muffled.
Yeah, it's loud over here.
Yeah, it's pretty loud, but I'm hoping our voice is loud enough to cover
Let's
it.
see. Let us know.
Let's see. Yeah, let us know. Hello, everybody. And we are in day 2 of our CES coverage.
Yep.
And FOMO and
Brian's back there.
I want to say Whisper Status.
I know, the channel's been changed for 2 years.
So we've seen Samsung Electronics. We've been to Samsung Display, which was eye-opening. What's happening
awesome.
there? LG. Now we're able to talk about LG openly. We were also at Samsung's Innovation Room to find out what's happening. So making sure you guys can hear us clearly and not mostly the music. How's everyone doing today? Are you guys enjoying the coverage when my internet works? Of course. So let's make sure that are we good? That we're good. That's working out. Bye. Well, thank you, Salmaya, as well. Haven't seen you in a while, yeah. Okay, you can hear the music? All right, so worst case scenario.
So we can hear you through it. So
yeah,
as long as you guys can hear us.
Okay, so Brian, today's about LG in the context of Samsung. We talked about Samsung yesterday in our last live stream. And now that we've seen all that LG is about to offer, what are your thoughts on LG and Samsung this year?
So I think the narrative I feel we're going to have this year is the QD OLED S95D, already the matte finish is something everyone's talking about. The G3 maybe reaching 3,000 nits. That's going to be they're going to go against each other. But I think the S90D is still going to end up being a glossy.
No. Let's talk about that. You mentioned 3,000 nits.
So 3,000.
We haven't spoken about 3,000 nits at all. This is the first time we've mentioned 3,000 nits.
So
what are you talking about?
Well, I got 3,000 nits not from MLA. I got 3,000 nits from Samsung Displays.
Yeah. So let's confirm. Samsung Display. We just left Samsung Display, and Chirag was so excited to show us, right? Legit, 50% increase from 1,800 to 3,000.
Yeah. What a presentation they do there, Chirag and Samsung.
The best part was he had the 2023 QD OLED right next to the 2024 with the 3,000 nit, 3% window. You know how hard it is? Yeah. And he showed off all the scenes where in the new 3rd generation panel, it hit that 3,000 at 3%. It put the last year's panel, which was brighter, to shame. I was like, wait.
Well, and that's confidence. When you see these comparisons, they'll do, in all the companies, they'll say RTV versus conventional competitor. This was their Gen 4 versus Gen 3 versus Gen 2. So they're showing what they can do now versus what they did last year, which was still amazing.
And thank you, Samaya Gold, for asking that, because that's exactly what I asked Chirag. We are so used to W-OLED getting brighter by pushing the white pixel harder.
Yeah.
Which is why this is how G3 got brighter. Now, MLA made everything brighter, but the white pixels were pushed very hard. And Chirag was very clear. Uniform color lumens, everything is brought up to 3,000 nits. Yeah. Not just the white. And that's why they showed off scenes where the colors were brighter. It wasn't a brighter white. It was a brighter blue. It was a brighter yellow. Yeah. It was a brighter red. And last year, we thought the color luminance was great. It could not keep up. We're talking pure color. 3,000 nits is the entire white that brings color with it, not just white alone. So excellent sample. And this is what we asked Chirag. He laughed and goes, no. It's all coming up. And it's proportionally, right? So you're not going to get 3,000 blue. It's not possible. But it's proportional. Wherever the white is at 3,000, everything else falls within that proportionality. Excellent job, QD OLED.
Well, plus with QD OLED, they're achieving it through efficiency instead of brute forcing it. So I know a lot of us talk about, if we're looking for 3,000, 4,000 nits, we're worried about the panel failing. they're actually doing that with less heat. And something that we saw in their displays was compared to conventional OLED, their temperatures are so much lower that it's ridiculous. So that means they have higher headroom to go even harder towards something like 4,000. I can't believe we're talking about even 3,000 nits with OLEDs, let alone,
Okay,
you know,
so let's talk about that.
4,000.
In my last video, I was laughing that OLED would ever hit 2,000, and Chirag laughed back at me.
Here.
Said, we're already there.
We're already there. Yeah, and then even, but you know, if you want to get back into LG, I'm very happy to see an 83-inch MLA. Now they don't want it called MLA. MLA is actually
it's a light something architecture, light
adjustment or
LCA.
LCA.
So it's light construction architecture.
But even they wouldn't give you that name. So what's funny is I know Robert's in the chat. I think he might still be in the chat. So it's called micro lens array is what it was called.
That's what LG Display calls it.
That's what LG Display called it. Robert said, I believe the story is Robert might have mentioned MLA. Then we all ran with MLA. And they're like, it's not called that. It's called whatever.
Light construction architecture.
So now it's nice. I'm still going to call it MLA until they make it official. Yeah. The G3 was very vibrant, very bright. It's a beautiful TV. G4, I'm sorry. It is an improvement over the G3. I do like that they're going to have a stand for the 50.
So here's the problem, though. Unlike Samsung Display that have the 2024 and 2023 right next to each other, we only have the G4 in a vacuum. And of course, it looks great, but how much better is it than the G3? Now, I have the G3 still, so I'll compare it side by side.
And I'm sure Robert will have G3
still. If you're here, Robert, I know you'll have it. Now, Miyako has a great point, though. If the S90D is like last year's S95C but cheaper, this could be a good OLED. And I think it will be because the S90D doesn't have what?
So the S90D, this is, I know we're talking about LG, but I'm going to paint a picture for you only because I put up a couple videos yesterday and every comment was about the matte finish.
And we got a close-up of the matte finish. By the way, at the Innovation Room, we spent 15 minutes talking to the masters of matte.
And the testing of it against light and what it offers. And it is an amazing, I know how a lot of us feel about matte, and I'm not going to dissuade you from it. It concerns me too. But it's interesting that the S90 is going to be glossy. It's not going to have a One Connect box, and it's going to be cheaper.
Options, though.
So I can totally see the S90 being a star again, just by seeing the way you guys are reacting to the matte. It's an interesting choice that they're doing.
But let's be fair to Samsung and give them the Samsung argument. So Florian did the presentation, and Florian, if you know, he creates a suite of color grading software. Excellent. I consider him a friend. He's an expert in the business, and he was telling us why he likes matte finish. He says, look, in this bright room, right?
Robert, MLA is the nickname I created.
And
Robert. I know, as I just mentioned.
In a bright room, the matte made a difference. Like the frame, not as aggressive as the frame, but we had these ring lights, and the matte almost made it disappear. However, in that same bright room, it was very obvious the blacks were lifted. We're talking not so much the contrast was worse, but the blacks were slightly lifted. And so I asked Florian, isn't this a problem for you? And he said, look, I see what you see, but the distraction from the reflection. So right next to it, he had a glossy OLED. Yes. Look at the distraction. The blacks are deeper, but look at all this other stuff. You got people walking around.
So what we had, so we had is a glossy OLED where you can actually see our reflections in it. Their argument, and it is valid, was that when the lights were on, you could actually see the entire image. You didn't lose any of the image. It was a little bit lifted, but it swallowed the light. You couldn't see the ring at all. So what I asked him to do, and he was very, very accommodating, was shut off the lights and please let me know that the black level comes back. And it did. So it looked like lifted black, but not that it was lifted, it just swallowed the light. Mm-hmm. So it's very different. It wasn't gray, it just was showing the whole image. Yeah. Where his point was having a glossy screen, even if the blacks are there, you lose the image because you're watching your own face.
And to be fair,
pretty amazing.
Lisa's asking, satin is not glossy. It's complete opposite, Lisa. So you have semi-gloss, you have gloss, and then you have matte. So matte is more like satin. And there is no semi-gloss. Possibly S90C could be argued to be semi-gloss.
Well, the different iterations. Yeah, they're not glossy. A lot of the TVs last year weren't that. They were semi-gloss. But I will say, Lisa and everyone else, what was very interesting for them was when the TV was off, it didn't have that muddy look of matte.
Mhm.
It looked like it was on but black,
Right.
right? So I mean, it didn't look less premium as what I'm usually matte doesn't look premium. This was almost black night, like it was.
Yeah. But remember your number one complaint yesterday about the S95C at Value Electronics, it was facing the window. The minute direct sunlight hit it, it was unwatchable.
Yeah, and Rob,
Did this solve that?
this so the refraction or the jagged edges that it put on this TV, I explained it to them. They weren't able to mimic that. I think
Because it's not bright enough.
it wasn't bright enough. So in Robert's store, I'd only seen that one time, and then we went against the G3. We never saw it again.
Right.
The sun has to be on it. I don't know if I love this decision. I love glossy screens myself. I think it helps the contrast ratio. That might be placebo, but they also know the frame being their top seller in many ways.
It is their top seller, right.
How TVs look in a room is really going to trump that. My worry is contrast ratio.
Yeah, and it is a hit. It's a visible hit. Now, Steve has a great comment, and I don't know if, Steve, you're talking about the G4, because according to Vincent, LG TV's color and blooming are greatly improved. If you say blooming, I'm assuming you're talking about the qned.
Most of them like
and it looked great. So I agree. I thought this was the Edgelit version.
This was their lower end one.
Very impressed by the Edgelit 98 inch that they had in display. I think
85.
86.
86. I'm sorry, it was 86.
Right? And as far as color, I don't know if you're referring to the G4 color is greatly improved or not, but during the, okay, so let's talk about LG, since we're on LG. During their presentation, I was excited to hear that Alpha 11, and this is something that we're going to explore, is going to, they have what's called a directorial processor, right? Yeah. The directorial processor uses AI to make skin tones pop, to make specular highlights pop, to clean up bad upscaling of low bitrate content. Basically, they are saying what Sony has been doing with XR Clear. Now, unlike Sony's XR Clear, this could be disabled or enabled, and I would love to experiment with that because they're saying this is a game changer. It's not so much about the MLA getting more brighter. They're all about Alpha 11 and what it does to saturate colors and all that good stuff. Now,
when they were saying the AI Picture Pro would disable if the content was copywritten to a certain degree, which is interesting. We've all seen that in the menu, just didn't know what it meant. It said, hey, this doesn't work if everything is copywritten. But they caught up with processing a few years ago. I think they're back with the...
Only for the Alpha 11?
Only for the Alpha 11. So the problem, the C4 goes back to being a really good choice. If there wasn't an S90 in existence, the C4 would probably be just fine. Right. It's just going to be a hard recommendation going against the 880, whatever the 880 successor is going to be, and the S90.
Right. And as far as the S90D, it looks like it's going to be similar to the S90C. They did not talk about what kind of coating was on the S90D. So whatever it was last year,
it looks like it's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah. And when they also said that, back to LG, was they wouldn't measure the C4. They do feel it's a lot brighter than the C3.
So this is interesting, Travis.
What's up, Travis?
We didn't get any detail specific to the qned. We did get to see their quote-unquote flagship Neo QLED. Now, whether that flagship is the 95D or the 90D, they said we haven't decided what the model naming convention will be.
So I will say to you guys, from what we saw from Innovation, I'm not sure QLED in the 4K category is going to go much farther in terms of innovation. It looks like 8K is where they're going to push it. And I know everyone in the comments is going to roll their eyes, but what they're doing with the AI upscaling in 8K,
which we wish was on the 4K. So we're going to comment on the AI, how good it is.
Yeah, so what we've had over the years is that the upscaling has only been upscaling due to pixel density and some processing. Now what they're saying is our processing is going to make everything look, they've been selling that. They're really trying to go for it now with super resolution instead of upscaling.
Yeah.
So instead of just adding more pixels and hoping that it creates more noise, they're really making it that and the resolution at the same time. The processor is an absolute beast, but it's only going to be on the 8K lineup.
They're definitely making the QN900D. I will assume that's what they're going to call it, the 8K flagship. The sports watcher's dream, because they put in some samples where the sports motion was insanely
It was
quick,
flawless.
And they cleaned it up so well.
without the motion interpolation artifacts or the panning.
Perfect.
So it really was nice.
But
And
it could have been done on the 4K. And so this is why, obviously, I know they
you got to sell TVs. You know?
But they could put this processor like Sony across all their TVs, and you know what would happen? No one would buy the flagship, because just because they put it on the 8K doesn't mean it wouldn't work just as well on the 4K. You could upscale just as well on the 4K.
Absolutely.
But
they got to give a reason to go premium.
Uh-huh.
And I think people would buy 8K TVs if regular content could really deliver that promise. And they're trying to really do that by just making it happen themselves.
And I'm sure a lot of you are waiting for news on phosphorescent blue, and the answer is no one talked about it. No one wanted to mention it, and I'll tell you why. Look at what QD-OLED, Samsung Display did. Oh, we forgot to tell them how they did it. It was great. So Chirag at Samsung Display said, we didn't increase the energy. We didn't push anything harder. What we did was fine-tune the algorithm on the chip, right, the integrated chipset. And they said, look, we just made it more efficient. We didn't push more energy. But what energy we did use, we focused it more, and it made it brighter just by playing with the firmware within the integrated circuits, right? The TC drivers. And I'm like, wow, that's it? He goes, look what we did. And so he had a temperature heat map on two TVs, a W-OLED running the same brightness as the 2024
20% more.
It was
hot.
I mean, the same brightness and the
no
OLED,
color.
Less color, but so hot. And on the QD-OLED, it was less hot, putting out the same brightness. So phosphorescent blue, what's amazing is they still have that in their pocket. They don't need it yet. And I think this is what puts them over 4,000 nits. So talk about 4,000 nits. I said to Chirag, you see my last video? I called you out. Are we going to get to 4,000? And he goes, the look on his face was, it's not going to be a problem.
Which is crazy because, well, then we're talking about the reference monitors they're pushing, that directors are using QD-OLED as reference monitors, which means that what they would be developing in theater is going to be also prepared for the home at the same time versus the BVM, which isn't made for theater or is made for theater but not made for home. So very interesting, awesome monitors as well.
Speaking of that reference monitor, so he showed off the 55-inch Flanders Scientific. And here's the best part, guys. I said, wait, is this your new third generation or second? He says, no, that was last year. I'm like, you understand that the Flanders guys are not happy with you because now you have a 3,000 nit panel and they're on a 1,800 nit panel. Already, they have to swap out the panels. And Chirag goes, yeah, well, what are you going to do?
So I guess kind of the problem, though, is it is titled, Sony, Samsung, LG. Again, we're finding less reasons to talk about LG at the moment. So it's not that we're avoiding it. It's just what's exciting right now. Yeah. And I do like the new G4 very much. I wish they had shown the qned at the higher end. There is a 99 that's 8K. There are larger sizes coming. But what we saw was just a small taste. Hopefully what they have in the booth will be much more.
Right. Great question, Torque Pop. Will MLA ever be available for a 97-inch TV? And will be at a price normally people can afford. So I'll tell you now, the 97-inch TV without MLA is $25,000 to $30,000. So already without MLA, you can't afford it. With MLA, maybe a couple more thousand. 97-inch is such a small volume, but Robert Zone is here. He'll take your order, and if you could afford 25 to 30 grand, all yours, my friend.
Well, we also saw the M series is going down a size to 65 inches. They'll have a 65-inch. It will have MLA. The Z series is a carryover. They said it has MLA. I don't know if that's possible if it's a carryover. But the 77 and the 88 will have MLA. The only thing that won't have MLA is the largest, the 97.
Yes.
That's it. And the C series, obviously.
So Travis's question was exactly what happened yesterday. Do you think the new One Connect box is non-buggy? And I will say the answer is absolutely. And why is that? We asked them, we told them, you guys know that your One Connect box is buggy? And they both looked at each other. Why? What's wrong?
They never heard about dropouts before. So the guy comes out, he takes the notebook.
wrong?
I'm like, how are you not hearing this? I said, that's what knocked your S95C from most recommended was that simple. What's supposed to be more convenient became a travesty for them with 144 or anything. He said, no, he goes, so did it slow down? We're like, slow down. You lost the image.
For seconds.
For seconds.
What? You mean in 144 gaming? No, in lots of gaming.
In everything.
And so he's like, okay, I got to tell the people in Korea, But ultimately, being that there is a response, the answer is more likely than not it is buggy. But again, whatever Korea does, they don't always tell the US reps.
No.
Possibly it isn't. I'll tell you that US reps were unaware.
Yes.
This was an
First
issue.
time hearing it.
Yep, first time. And I'm thinking, wait. Now, as you guys know, I don't review the gaming half, and these dropouts were more obvious once people started hardcore gaming on it. So I didn't get a chance to truly test that. But then, oh, okay, I just assumed the other reviewers let Samsung know. Apparently, they don't read their owner forms.
So going
we let
back,
them know.
so going back to LG, yeah, 144 hertz across the board. They also went out of the way to discuss G-Sync certified, it wasn't a module, but they did re-up on G-Sync being much more important now. So,
coffee.
Buddy Love, what's up? So G-Sync being a bigger part of the conversation, but 144 hertz, we want to see if LG will be able to actually make it implemented, because Hisense 144 didn't really work with all graphics cards. Samsung had a hard time with it. We'll see if LG can actually make it work well.
I actually want to know, you guys, gamers, right? Obviously, 144 is not important to non-gamers, but is it that important to get that extra 24 hertz?
So
even if you're a PC gamer,
so at Roberts, I use
the
QN95C with an NVIDIA 4090, and I didn't feel 144. I was able to make it work. When you jump frame rate, you go from 30, 60 to 9, or 30, 60, 120. You want to double the frame rate to really feel it. 120 to 144, I don't really feel, which is why a lot of PC gamers are at 240
or 480. Now,
480
now with the new LG monitor.
Yeah, yes. If you're going down. So I would argue that 144 was a cool thing for us to check off, but 120 is sufficient for me.
And Samael, thank you for that super chat, my friend. Anything on full screen brightness, increase on QD OLED? Yes. Chirag said to me specifically, 300 nits on a full white screen. That's huge, by the way. I mean, for OLED, 300 nits on a white screen,
which used to be the Achilles heel of any OLED, would be like light gray.
That's very bright. So yes, is the S90 using the old panel? And this is the $100 question.
You're back.
So if you missed what we just said, Samsung Display creates the most amazing panel, but they have no control over when Sony, Samsung, whoever implements that third generation. The third generation has been in production. It is for sale. Whether and when Samsung Electronics puts it in the S90D or the S95D, we don't know, because when I asked Samsung Electronics specifically, they always say we cannot comment on our supply modules or the makeup, because we just want to call it OLED. Our job is to make OLED look good, whichever OLED technology we use. So we will never answer that question. And so Samsung Display has no control over that. They cannot tell you if the S90D has it. They can only tell you that it's out there, and it's up to Sony. And maybe this is why Sony skipped this year. Like, wait, it's going to take us some time to tune to the third gen panel. Why don't we let the second gen panel ride on the A95L? Because they literally just released the A95L.
Yeah,
they're going to release an A95M. They've only sold 10,000 panels.
Well, even we asked Sony, would you think about doing another A95 this year? The fact is, if they release it at the same time, they're still giving themselves almost a year. It came out in October, so they have time. I think they might even stretch that out farther. They don't, and I think that's why this 4,000 nit narrative serves them. They already have the best TV in the world sitting there. Let's go ahead and push away, because you hurt the competition that way. But I just think what's interesting is that, and I go back quickly to Samsung Display, wanted to ask them about the matte finish. They don't comment on that because they're not, every manufacturer adds their own thing.
Yes.
So when people say, why would Samsung or Sony charge so much for the A95L, they're adding their own chassis, their own everything. It's just a film. It's not thick.
Right.
People think
it's their own layer.
People think it's a piece of glass.
That's why the Sony could look glossy.
Yes.
And the Samsung more like a semi-gloss. So they get to do their own thing.
So when you ask Samsung Display about reflection handling last year, they don't comment on it because they're not adding that part to it.
All they've added is the I'm gonna call it a filter. It's a light to help the blue go to the surface, the diffraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as what happens after that, it's
so
up
what
to everybody
Samsung
else.
decides to add or Sony adds. So that said, when we were looking at the demo material in Samsung displays, to me, it's as vibrant and bright as what we saw with micro LED. Like it's as shocking. So that's why I do have a hesitation with the matte finish on the S95C.
Well, the best part
bugs me a little bit.
was Chirag's expression. Did you know that the flagship Samsung this year has a matte finish at the frame? He's like, what? He's like, my
like,
baby.
yeah.
What did you do?
And one of the other guys goes, so was it? What was my? He goes, is it like this or is it bad?
No, is it this or this?
I'm like,
we looked at each other. If you go by the users, it's this. And
well,
they're like, whoa.
And granted, so I mean, I think that you're going to have the G4 again. Going back to LG, is going to have a very strong presence with the 83. But I think you guys are going to see 83 is not going to move the needle because it's a size that I love.
It's $6,000,
but it's going to be very expensive.
And another thing is, now we laugh at the matte finish, but a constant reminder, and I'll tell you that Brandon, be the installer, will tell you this. The frame is a huge seller. When he puts on a video on the frame, he gets a lot of views. People are buying the frame because of the matte finish.
What was the name of what was the name of the frame that was in the front of Samsung displays with the plant on it? A fire ant. It was a sarin.
The sarin.
Oh my, even I wanted that thing. It's just a green plant.
It's an industrial design.
Very cool.
Great. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Dylan.
What's up, Dylan?
Do you think the A11 and MLA Plus, the better one, will make the G4 a bigger job from last year compared to the Q95, S95D? Okay. A11 let me rephrase your question. Can the A11 match the XR Clear? Because that's how Sony won. Sony made a name with XR Clear.
We helped make that.
Yeah. Well, we helped publish that.
We helped publish that.
And can the A11 do the same? Because the MLA Plus, I'll be honest with you, there's not much, unlike QD-OLED, that's just starting. We're only in the third generation. They're working so hard to squeeze out whatever brightness they can. But the A11 can actually elevate performance. And the answer is potentially the G4 could be better than the S95D, but not because of the MLA Plus, but because of A11 and the D has the matte finish. You take those two.
So that's why we're saying what would be interesting is the G4 is going against not a compromise.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think a lot of you guys aren't going to give it a look for that reason.
Yeah.
Only because from what I've read from you guys, I would give it pause myself. I like glossy panels. I'll deal with the reflections all day. It's just the way I see them.
And to me, and Dylan, I think the word is out. Sony's not introducing a 2024 A95 successor to the A95L. So if we see an A95 successor, it'll likely be next year, which makes sense because this third gen panel is just brilliant. But Sony's got a whole bunch of Gen 2 panels they got to sell. And we don't know when it will be part of Sony's lineup, but it will not confuse matters by putting it on the A95L. It will be an all new TV model to separate the 2 years, to win the shootout, and to beat the G5. So the G4, we'll see how it does at the shootout this year, but the A95 successor will be taking on the G5, and maybe it'll be on a fourth generation QD-OLED panel. Maybe they're skipping third and going for 4,000
API. All these increases that they're making are huge from generation to generation.
I've never seen such increases from generation to generation. From a first gen QD-OLED, we were wow, right? People were throwing TVs out the window to get it. Second gen, we're like, oh my gosh, it's twice as bright. And third gen, they added 50% brightness, 3,000 nits, 300 nits on a 100% bright white window. And our jaw just dropped. And we saw the demo, 2023 versus 2024. And I know what you all are saying. I'm not going to buy QD-OLED unless it's third gen. And I agree with you. We have no way of knowing. So this is
that's the part that really messes with. Samsung's always done that, but where's mine? Is mine a German channel or is it from this one? Is it that they always want to check that number in the back?
And so how will we know? When we get the S95D flagship into Robert's hands, we're going to have it side by side against the A95L because the A95L and the Samsung, their brightness is very similar. If the S95D doesn't destroy the A95L to the degree that we saw it destroy the S95C in the sample room, then we know it's probably a second gen panel. So that's something that we
That's
have to
interesting.
talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, that puts me off Samsung. There's so many things that could put you off, AJ. Which is it?
Yeah, which part was that?
I love it. And here's something that I want to address. Like, yeah, I believe that once LG reports a profitable quarter. And so we have LG Electronics and LG Display. LG Display is just, it's suffering greatly, right? I mean, we've been talking to analysts on the side who were there, but an old friend. And
That was eye-opening today.
He was like, I'm in shock at how badly OLED is doing.
Which
He
is
expected it to do better. He's like, what happened?
Well, because
to
the
OLED?
perception of our conversations, remember, we're an enthusiast community. OLED is more popular than ever. I had no idea that among the regular groups that buy TVs on a massive scale, OLED is suffering greatly. And
I love it. What are your thoughts on the anti-glare coating again? Missed the first 15 minutes.
It's like,
hey, thank you for that super chat, Mr. Mystery. Was the matte coat on the screen bad in person? Okay, so in the demo, if you saw my...
You didn't just say no.
In my demo, you saw my walkthrough, it was hard to tell. But
Because you were running.
I was like,
What a great video, by the way.
at the innovation room, we literally sat there for 10 minutes with the gentleman, Florian, in charge of explaining to us why this matte finish is important. He had a side-by-side with a glossy coating. He had the ring. He had everything set up to convince us. And I am convinced it does eliminate reflection distractions. And he even brought white paper and science to say that's bad for your eyes because you're refocusing against the reflection and off of it. But what did Brian say? I'll live with the reflections. And that's what you have to deal with.
So, I mean, that was only because...
But it was very...
This is what bothered me. Was whenever I saw a QD OLED go against the WRGB OLED, it was evident that the QD OLED would destroy it. When they compared them together, they were not comparable.
No.
They looked similar because it was in a brighter condition. And then if my point is, if the black levels are raised at all on an S95D in the dark, then that's going to be a no bueno for all of you, not just some of you. So if it does, depending on how it performs in a bright room, just it cannot suffer in the dark. If it suffers in the dark, we're going to have a hard time. And I'm afraid of that. And
this is an important question because I got this text from John Reformato as well. Thank you for this question, Classy. Stop the formal comments have been made that Gen 3 QD OLED won't be available until Q3 of this year.
Here we go.
Did you confirm that? I literally texted or emailed Sharad just now when I got John Reformato's text asking me to confirm. I said to Sharad, hey Sharad, I forgot to ask. Let's double check here. Did you say that the third gen panel, the panels are available to OEMs now? And
or meaning are they already in them?
Right now. No, available to them. And he says, yes, they are available to the OEMs. The TV makers will make their own announcements on implementation. So here's what we have to separate. Like we said before, just because Samsung Display has sold you this panels or has it for sale. Remember, there's a difference. Samsung Display is selling it. It's up to Sony, Samsung Electronics, whoever, to buy it and use it. And if they wait until Q3 to implement it, that's not on Samsung Display, and they cannot answer that question.
We can't figure it out either.
And Samsung Electronics is very clear. Nope, not going to answer that. Because I asked him, I heard about third gen panel.
Answer anything, actually.
Nope. And so to answer your question, Classy, possibly it would be on a Q3, but would that be a transitional manufacturing introduction on the same line model? Or is it a whole new model? That's for me and you to debate, Classy.
Well, I'd say for you guys that with 77-inch S90s, you're good because they're all gone. So at least with that one size, you should be fine. Because there aren't any, right?
So I suggest getting an S90C.
Get an S90C.
Save money.
Because Robert and I were talking about getting a 55-inch just to test, and can't.
HDR 10 Plus? Yeah, I don't care. And so Steve, is the new TCL as good as CNET claims with 4,000 nits? And I think he stated 5,000 dimming zones. He meant 500. No, it's 5,000 dimming zones.
Yeah.
He seems to
be they're a mini LED, so I mean.
So we have a booth tour set for tomorrow or the day after, and we're going to have some time with the TCL team We'll see. Now, whether it's as good as they say, we have to bring it into our studios to test, because 4,000 nits is 4,000 nits until you put real content and put it next to the new Sony Mini LED, if it's out in time, next to the QM8, which I think was a phenomenal TV last year. I still have the QM8. I'll be testing that. And then next to QD OLED and see what does this 5,000 dimming zone do. I'm also excited to see if Hisense's UX with 40,000 dimming zones at a 65 inch, will they introduce something with maybe 20,000 dimming zones?
And it seems like they're in that race together as far as
nits. They're already there, yeah.
Well, I think it's just with Sony, touching on them really quick. The X95 was clearly a decision to be more efficient, not be as bright, and control the local dimming. Sony's already been at 4,000 nits with the Z9G and the Z9K in spots. It's amazing to think about going back to it, because they know how inefficient they were. I mean, the Z9G is very thick. They've gotten, so they almost made it not about brightness last year. They say, you know what? How about brightness? Like they want to go back on the roller coaster. Because I was convincing people last year the X95 didn't need to be that bright.
On old content or current content where Netflix doesn't grade higher than 1,000 nits, you all know that.
Now I need it.
And now Sony's like, yeah, everyone's been doing it wrong. Everyone, let's put 4,000 nits on the table. We're making movies with 4,000 nits. We're making mastering monitors for 4,000 nits. And then suddenly, also Florian puts out his presentation about we're done.
1,000s and up.
But we got the brightest TVs available. We're good. We need to focus on anti-glare. I said, Florian, what about Sony's announcement? You know?
He's like,
He's like, which announcement? 4,000 nits? He's like, oh yeah.
Well, it shows how much the narrative changes year after year. We all chased peak brightness for how many years? OLEDs weren't bright enough. Then all of a sudden, the OLEDs got brighter. They're like, you know what? They're actually really bright. We're good. They're only stopped at 1,000 nits anyway. Yep. Oh, by the way, but it's almost like the 8K thing. If there's no 8K content, let's make it. And Sony's basically saying, you know what, I'm going to make the 4,000 nit movies. I have a movie studio and everything.
I just love the internet because the news spreads so fast. Because the minute I said, what about 4,000 nits, Florian? You see all this silent chuckling by everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. 4,000 nits could be a thing. So, hey,
but
I was just going to ask this question.
But, you know, we didn't end up having a G3 moment like we did last year, where people just bought the TV and then said, oh, crap. I should have. I think everyone seems like they're okay with what they bought, unless you bought an 83 inch.
If you bought a G3 and you wish it had XR clear, then the G4 is for you. Like
oh, you mean if you bought a G3
if you're debating between the G3 and the A80L, and you wish the G3 had XR clear, the G4 is supposed to be that TV. And I think that's the use case. Is imagine a G3 MLA with XR clear, potentially. It's supposed to perform what Sony did, and they spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, and at 83, but I think 83 is not going to move the needle. We want it. It's too expensive. Yep. I mean, also they are listening. They are going to give you a stand for the 55 and the 65, and the stand does sit the panel upright. It's a nice center stand. It will not be available for the 77 and 83.
So Mihil's question, I think, strikes a chord in me. You guys were saying that the C4 doesn't have a chance if it didn't have MLA. What about Samsung with their S90D? There's not a single change in their TV, literally the same. And let me address this.
We don't know, but there's no chance.
But let's just say it's the same. The S90C was so good that unless the C4 added MLA, they're gambling that the C4 didn't change. It didn't change. It's like, yes, so the S90D doesn't need to change. That margin leadership remains, and the S90D will be probably less expensive this year than last year.
So, Mihail, actually, you answered your own question. Had the C4 had MLA, it would have moved ahead of the S90. By not having it, they actually just stayed apart that way. The S90 is still ahead of it. So you actually answered your own comment.
And the C4 didn't even add the Alpha 11.
No, so if it had the Alpha 11, then it would have the A80L conversation. Yes. Why did the A80L jump over the C4? Because of XR Clear. With XR Clear, it could compete with the S90, not in brightness or color, but in processing. So the C4 ended up being ugly duckling because of it.
I asked Samsung Electronics, or at the Innovation World, guys, I love your AI for the 8K. Are you going to have it for your OLED?
It's amazing.
Like, no.
No.
And if they did, they would never sell an 8K TV.
No. Can you imagine that? I mean, the 8K approach is very impressive. Yeah, I mean, the C series is going to be an appreciable difference from last year in terms of the brightness, but they won't give us those numbers. So it's always hard to tell if that's real.
You know, let's talk about LG's #1 kept secret that they told. Okay, so LG said, you guys got to keep this under embargo.
Let everybody else tell. And then let everybody else talk about it
until 9:30 a.m. So they're going up to you and I, right? You guys,
no matter what,
keep this under
don't
embargo.
talk about it till
9:30 a.m. tomorrow. And what happens?
So I'm laying in bed. It's 2
panel.
o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what the heck? I could have put that video up.
I could have talked about our
because
live
we
stream.
saw that before they did.
Brian's like, ah!
I mean, it's a very. But so we saw.
I've been embargoed.
So we saw a transparent micro LED.
No, did you like the LG?
I did.
I did.
Too. The transparent micro LED is amazing. It's very 3D. We saw a lot of different applications for it. The one from the T? What's it called? T. LG T.
The OLED T series.
OLED T series.
T series.
What we saw, it's built into a piece of furniture.
And they have a little rear screen that goes up and down.
The screen goes up and down. Where
you know why we talk about it sounds kind of stupid. You have to be there. I mean, how does this sound? It's really cool. The screen goes up and down behind it like a curtain, and you can see right through it.
You
and
just discovered that. You're like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this anymore. Because it really does. It does go.
And then there's a flower behind it. You see the flower. I'm like, so would not compel me to pay $30,000.
So the thing is, you know what? With them, the rollable was how many years ago, and then they had the same TV last year, but it was clear and it was in the LG, right. And it's only 55. This thing is actually pretty amazing. A lot of the applications would be weather. You know, it's like having apps on your phone. When the background goes away, they look like they are suspended in midair. The artwork made for it was awesome.
Yes, the demo is excellent.
But a lot of the things that we talk about is practicality and use case and real content, which you can do. You can watch a movie.
Yes. Well, it's like the frame.
It's like the frame. Yeah. So you can watch the movie and remove the black scene to make it look more transparent. That just looks like a bad projector.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much you guys would actually use that.
And it's super expensive. Normally when you guys pay super expensive, you're paying for image quality and size.
You're going for
this is art for
novelty.
You're a millionaire living in Malibu, and you want something to wow people in the walk.
And it definitely would.
And that's it. But image quality is not better. It's probably worse. So, thank you, Cosmic Charles. I'm gonna get killed with Lady Gaga up here. Hope you guys don't hear that. Do you think I think they turned up the volume.
Like, get these guys out of here. We did eat here though. We paid.
Do you think the AI processor in the G4 will offer a huge improvement compared to the G3? Feeling some buyer's remorse at the moment.
No, I
use
I
Apple
just
TV.
said nobody built that.
Yep. So how it improved the G3 or will improve it is like the XR Clear, you're gonna get slightly brighter specular highlights. Skin tones will be altered to fit your. I mean, everything is done literally to beat Sony's XR Clear at its own game. If that's important to you, yeah. But if you are like, I want complete creator's intent. I don't want any of this messiness from AI telling me what it should look like, then no. But it is, you could disable it, but is it worth that upgrade? If you don't care about XR Clear, the answer is no.
Well, and XR Clear is not for everyone. We've seen that.
Oh, yeah. Some people hate XR Clear.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's where you're going to see with this 8K upscaler.
Same.
It's the same, but I think with the 8K upscaler, there is an intensity. You can disable it or lessen its intensity.
Yeah. And let's see. And thank you for the super chat or super sticker.
TechNet, I haven't seen you in a minute. How are you?
Well, we're finally on at a time where he's awake.
Oh, okay.
Right? And thank you for the super chat from us in the Philippines. I want an OLED 83 inch. My wife is worried she will have FOMO if we don't get the 85 because she thinks the extra two. Yesterday was 8 inches. Yesterday was 8 inches. Today is 2 will make her immersion like ecstasy. Okay, 83 to 85. I'm okay with going with the 83. That 2 inches. We're back to the 2-inch discussion. I don't think
because 77 is a large TV. 83 is a much larger TV. It's only 16%, but it just projects larger. 85 doesn't project as large. I mean, it just doesn't. It's two really big TVs. 77 is a pretty big TV, but not a very large TV.
Going from 77 to 85, your wife wins with that. Going 83, 85, you're going to win if she just tell her 83, 85 is the same size. It's a thicker bezel.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's a bezel?
And honestly, 83, 85 to 83 is probably the only time I would go small. Is if an 83 was much better quality, I would go down from 85 to 83.
Right. Hey, Hi-Fi. Hi-Fi cracks me up. He's always like, hey, what's happening? Is this really going to happen? And so we're going to answer your question. I'm not feeling the new AR coating on the S95B. That's the anti-reflective coating. I think they should have trialed it on a QD-OLED frame instead of their flagship. And so this is another thing is they have focus groups. Sony has focus groups, Samsung. And sometimes these focus groups, the group are not enthusiasts. It's a bunch of housewives, some college students, and it's in Korea. And they're like, oh, that looks great. A+.
Well, look at Sony years ago with the wide viewing angle and the rainbow effect. That was because people in polls wanted to see from off angle. And they chase that. And thinner TVs, that's what people walk in and say they want that. Do we want that? Make my TV 10 inches. Like, I don't care.
And who's designing the focus groups? Is the focus group designed to sell more TVs or please reviewers? If your focus group is filled with reviewers, it's a completely different TV.
Yeah, reviewers don't buy TVs.
No, so. They buy one TV.
They buy one.
How many color graders do we know still have it? LG
C9.
A C9. 65. What is it? Our friend at the shootout. I just got an S95.
That might be.
They take forever to upgrade.
Yeah.
The true audience are the discretionary income crowd.
What do they buy?
They are, they'll buy a TV every other year. Oh, this looks great, I'll buy it. If I don't like it, I'll buy another one next year. So Hi-Fi, I think their focus group is run by accounting and marketing, whose only job is to sell TVs. They see the frame
if the frame is selling, they have something with that. And yes. I think they also think that there's a texture that the screen has, which it does on the frame.
It does. Most people are hoping the A11 fixes motion. I just hope it frees up infrastructure for LG to match Samsung's game mode. We don't know how they didn't talk about the game bar at all. You notice that? Whereas Samsung had an entire section dedicated to an improved game bar.
So much like, I'm just guessing here, much like A11 and XR Clear, I highly doubt you'll see the benefits of A11 on gaming. They are going to have to disable it for input lag. So XR Clear is not enabled during gaming. So I imagine the other processing, I think Samsung mentioned the same thing. Actually, I didn't ask him. Samsung, I imagine their 8K upscaler is not going to be a game feature.
Because it adds lag.
Adds too much lag.
It adds, yep.
We were saying that with HDR10 Plus.
Yes.
That you can't use that processing. So,
and well, here's the great thing. HDR10 Plus puts the power on the game developer. When they say it's run by the game engine, the game engine decides whether or not to turn on your local dimmer, your processor, and you can see how much latency it adds. Yeah. If they think it adds too much latency, the game engine will disable it. Yes. And then the gamer, the creator will say, you know what, that's acceptable. We're a slight loss of contrast or whatever. But it's great because it's putting the hands on the creator to see what will happen to the TV with HDR10 Plus gaming if they do this.
Yeah. And it must mean that the input lag is substantial.
Yes.
It must not be from 10 to 15. It must be 10 to 150.
And hey, Rockout, thank you for that super chat. Hey, FOMO and Brian, looking to buy a Sony 77-inch A80L or the 77-inch S90C at the same price. Sports and gaming, you know what I'm going to say. Editor's choice, 77-inch S90C. What do you think?
I mean, the gaming aspects of the S90C are superior.
Untouchable.
You know, I mean, the 80L, I got it because of XR Clear, and the gaming is good enough.
And it's 83 inches.
And the gaming's good enough, but it's just a little hard. The S90 is.
If the S90C QD only came in 83, which would you choose?
It would be, yeah.
And for sports, it's brighter, way brighter than the A80L, because in a brighter room, you're going to want that extra
vibrancy.
pop and vibrancy. Yep. It's the S90C to me is a superior technology. 8080L has a superior processor, but it doesn't trump what I really like about QD OLED. Yeah. So yeah. And thank you for that super
I wish
chat.
I had a 77 TV. I wish that's what my ceiling was. So many more options.
Oh, your ceiling will be a 97-inch soon. Robo TV, thank you for that super chat. I own a 55-inch A80L, and I'm getting a 65-inch Sony this year. You think Sony will make an A80M QD-OLED to compete with the S90C? We don't know. We don't know.
You would see that.
We hope so. And if not, would it be unwise to switch? Would it not be unwise to switch to 2024 Mini LED? Go larger. So Mini LED is fine, but take advantage of why you're going with that technology. It allows you to go bigger for less. So if you go to Mini LED, you got to go 85 inches because no OLED can go 83, hit that brightness and be affordable. And we could hit that at maybe $3,000.
Well, and we mentioned if you're going to give up the contrast ratio from an OLED to a brighter LED that might all of a sudden have massive blooming, depending on what model you're looking at, it's going to hurt you. You're going to see blooming and things that you've never seen before, lack of micro contrast. So you're going to have to make it large enough for the immersion to battle that, to where black bars won't bother you.
Yes. And thank you for the super chat, Seek. 77-inch A95L or 83-inch G4.
Well, that's a different conversation now.
I like the size. I really do.
If the G4 now has MLA, it's bigger and it's brighter and it wins.
And the A11, it can't be worse. I'm looking at the size mostly, but more importantly, what is your content? If your content is you do a little gaming, this and that, and I also like the stability. So let's step back. We talk about performance, and in speaking to Classy, you have to be reminded that the operating system, in this case Google TV on the Sony, it's not stable yet. Sony is still trying to address the issues that it's struggling with in streaming and all these things with stability, not just image quality, right? The G4A11, LG developed its WebOS end-to-end, software, processor, everything, settings, and so it's going to be not only baked earlier, but they can fix it quicker, any issues. Sony, if there's any issues, they have to talk to MediaTek, they have to talk to Google TV, and then they have to put it all together and fix it themselves. It takes long, it's longer, it's more expensive, and it may never be fixed if MediaTek doesn't work with them to fix it. Whereas LG, it's all in-house. So
the challenge with your question, though, too, is I know you think they're going to be similarly priced. They're not going to be. The G4 at 83 is going to be very expensive. So I know we're
$6,000 in my opinion.
Yeah. So, but I think you have size and it's brighter and has a close processor. It wins easily. If they're the same size, back to the different conversation.
Look, it's only midnight, just past midnight, though, right? Hey, FOMO, hey, Brian, I'm fine, thank you. Great to watch you live at CES. It's over. It's 0:40 here in Germany. Enjoy your time in Vegas. Are we really enjoying? We're enjoying CES. We're not really enjoying Vegas.
We're not here
per
for that.
se. Yeah, I mean,
we're exhausted because we're
tired.
working. We're not really going out. We're eating together, but
I stayed up till 2 doing that video.
I was up till about 2:30. So I mean, we're not. I was in the gym this morning at 5:30. So we're here to work.
Oh, KG is here. Hey, KG. Hey. I think KG just woke up a few hours ago. How long did he stay up?
Legs are dead already. What did you go for a run?
Oh, it's great to see you guys. Okay, here we go. LG is quoting increased color volume to 1500 nits on MLA 2.0. You got to test it, right? Hey, Classy, you got the tools. Let us know.
Let us know.
And how does that compare to the new QD-OLED, which isn't out yet? If the new QD-OLED won't be implemented by manufacturers, once again, G4 gets the lead initially. How long is it going to last? So the drama continues.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I wish Samsung Display would sell direct to consumer.
That'd be great.
Well, just whatever.
Wait, they do sell direct to consumer.
Yeah, but I'll roll
AAA member. AAA member.
No, I mean I wish Samsung Display themselves.
Oh, Display, not Samsung.
Because whatever extra sauce they're putting, actually they're probably not putting any barriers on it. Just let it run wild.
That's why they have a special content because there's no processing, nothing.
It just runs
raw panel.
I want that. it's probably upscaling to be horrible, but I mean it just looks amazing.
Well, and back to LG, we talked about the C4, what is happening to it? So we talked at length. C2, let's say up to the C2, it was the flagship alternative. If you didn't care about gallery, wall mount.
They were called E? It was the E series. It was a W. There was really no difference.
So then beginning with, and the heatsink I thought was not a big deal because the G2 and the C2 didn't separate, but then MLA that pushed it. And then you add the processor, which they could have put on the C4. I thought they better drop the price of the C4 because that processor was so badly needed.
Well, the story really became about the G4, where you could have elevated them both. Instead, the C4 kind of stays where it is, and the G4, as your point, gets all the glam, which is fine if you have a lot of options, Michael. But the fact that you only have those two options, neither one can afford to be the ugly duckling. They both have to be something you recommend. Now, if the S90 didn't exist, it might be a different conversation. I still would want them to leave it behind, though. I still think you should have some form of MLA, meaning give me the G3 MLA on the C4,
Right.
and then take the G4 to 3,000 nits.
Yes.
At least make the C4 2,000 nits, and then it'll be the hottest selling TV in the world.
And I have to agree with Crypto Color Lights. Talking about the transparent OLED, it doesn't do it justice. The transparent TVs are amazing. We were all wowed. I mean, Brian was so wowed that he was asked to step off the floor because he got so close.
So we were looking at something else.
Sir.
I wanted to just look around because I didn't know what I was looking at. And he's like, sir. And then he did the same thing.
Sir, step back.
Well, because they like to hold the stuff back. We have to watch a lot of different demos that maybe aren't super interesting.
It's one of those things where you have to be there, but it is impressive. And once it's for sale, every hedge funder in New York City will buy it. It's something you want in your entry condo overlooking the river somewhere, right? If you're rich and you got 25 grand to buy a piece of art, this is what you would buy. It's
in the coin of phrase of it's a 10-minute experience.
Yeah.
Like once you wow your friends with it, is it something you're going to be playing with? Chances are you're not going to, because once the background came down and we watched regular content, it looked like a pale projector. So no one's going to watch that.
So what happened the whole time? Brandon, you and I, can you do it again? We kept it going up and down.
We were filming it just to see it, but I mean, it
was mesmerizing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, especially with the context, because it was a guy walking with rocks, and he was a lava guy. It was like falling off, and you could see it, bring it out. But I wouldn't use it. Well, and there was an implementation where a young lady was singing.
Yes.
And it took the background out, and she looked like a hologram.
So imagine how a green screen, right? You're standing in front of a green screen. So they put that person in the transparent screen as if there was nothing behind them. And then KG's like, well, can you put me next to her? so you have these tricks, tricks of the trade.
And it looked cool because it looked like one of those holograms. I don't know how. That's probably only on that specific type of content. You can't do that on everything.
Yeah. Oh, here we go, Brian. I know you want to address this. I will let you address this question. Chris, an 8K fan, will the LG Z3 8K roll into 2024?
So the LG Z3 is a carryover. It will be here, what they said to me. What confused me, though, is I knew, well, no. Last year, the confusion was that the 77-inch was going to have MLA. The 88-inch wasn't going to have it, giving you the same problem of the 83 versus 77. Why would anybody buy the 88-inch Z3 at 30K when the little brother has MLA? I was assured they both have MLA, which I'm not sure is possible considering it's a carryover.
Yeah. So, and it's the volume is so low. What are you improving other than adding MLA to the Z3? But what are you really improving?
Well, the Z3, they say the gradients and the richness to the 8K, the pixel density increase. Because having an 8K OLED is much different than an 8K Mini LED. It does have a richness to it. I can't wait to see it. It's just, it wasn't there. So I wish it was there to show. It was there last year.
And to Cypher's point, transparent TVs will take off at commercial spaces and office lobbies, hotels. Absolutely. Yes. It is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a showstopper. And you're going to have people touching it. And it's but once it becomes everyday, like once it starts selling at Walmart, you'll be like, get this out of my face.
Well, that's why the cheap TVs were such big sellers, because think about your average hotel. We're in a hotel now with how many thousands of rooms. Each one has an LG cheap TV in it. Yep. So if you can take that same thing and make it a display, they'll buy 1,000 of them for every hotel. That's real numbers versus putting one in your living room.
And here's a great question. What clock or what time? Sony Event CES 2024. So we have our black box.
So there's a press conference right now. They're having their press conference, I think now, or was it an hour ago? That is Sony in general. Where we have a black box, which is
I thought a black box was a magic show.
Yeah.
When I was invited,
pissed.
I was like, wait,
great.
Are you gonna put me in a box? I'm gonna reappear in the Sony TV? She's like, Not yet, but that's not what I had in mind.
So the black box event that we're seeing, we're very privileged to be there. There is
Thank you.
thank you guys. There is a TV aspect to it. Sony here, there aren't TVs here.
Right. That one is focused on TV technology. Our friend Rob Brennan will
Rob
be
Brennan
there.
is making
The
sure that
team.
we're there. So
They want to make sure that we understand what's happening. Now, not everything can be shared. I mean, we might have to keep some things under embargo, but I will share what we can as far as the excitement of 2024. Anything that's in 2026 and beyond, who doesn't have.
well, I'm guessing we can guess that it will probably allude to this 4,000 type thing.
Sony thinks they're too good for CES. What do you think?
So I love that because we did our thumbnail last year with the binoculars. We were looking for them.
What's Sony?
And then if you remember CES, they were afraid.
They were afraid to
It
come
turned
out
out-
with nothing.
It turned out it was a masterstroke because they ran the narrative all year because the A95L just kind of was there as a dark cloud for everyone.
Yep.
And then their TV sprinkled out. By the time we were done with LG and Samsung, they had the whole year to themselves.
And sticking with the Sony theme. And by the way,
So,
I like
so
what Sony
now I
did.
think they are too good for here, is
Yeah.
the way they're looking at it.
Well, they're selling so many TVs. It's like, wait, it didn't impact our sales. Why should we come back to CES?
So and also,
expensive.
so when they did their own event in New York last year, they're planning on doing something much bigger. So they're actually investing in it. They're not.
Maybe they'll fly us to Honolulu.
So they're not
They're not.
spending the money. We thought it was a money thing last year. They're actually going to be spending a lot more money, but they want their own events. Here, once you're done, like for instance, we saw Samsung has their big thing.
Yeah.
LG's was here. Once you're having a bunch of great food, you don't remember any of it. They want it separate
Yes.
to say, okay, now we have.
It becomes a blur. Wait,
Yes.
what was Samsung
Yeah.
MLA? Was it a Sony QD?
Yeah, well, because LG had a
blurs
small
together?
suite for us to see, but they're outside. Their area here is massive. Samsung's is massive, but once we go home and think about the content we're putting out. I already have a G3 video, G4 video done, a Samsung video done. When Sony was the focus because they were slower, we were able to focus on them alone.
Yes.
And that's why when you saw our videos, they said, well, you guys are now paid by Sony because all your videos are Sony. Well, they were all that was left.
Yep.
So they ran in there where G3 came out, so exciting,
Yeah.
but nothing behind it. And that's the problem.
Yep.
They're gonna do it the same way with the G4, unfortunately.
And sticking with the Sony theme, thank you, Brammer Hammer, for that super chat. What 2024 TV should I upgrade from my 75-inch X95?
We're upgrading every couple of years.
So first of all, you gotta stick with Sony because you're used to the Sony
If you're happy.
colors.
If you're happy, if you're happy.
Yeah, motion, whatever. And if you're not happy, then you could change brands. Now, X95K, that's a pretty good TV, actually. Now, it didn't have the amazingness of the 85-inch X95K. So I'd say X95L, 85-inch.
See, the problem you're gonna. Oh, he's going for 2024.
You wanna wait
So
for
we
Mini
don't
LED?
know. We don't know what
What's
they're
your
gonna be.
budget, Brammer? Because if
Because
they release that new 4,000 nit Mini LED, that's what you want.
so you're in a weird spot where that would be a massive jump. The X95L was a good deal better. The
You go
X93, you have to go larger, but you're asking for 2024. You're gonna have to wait because it might be Z9K.
Wait
and
for
brighter.
a black box report. If we're given enough information to share,
Yeah.
if we can confirm that Sony will release this 4,000 nit Mini LED in 2024, various sizes, I definitely would wait if you're not in a rush because that is a true upgrade. I mean, 4,000 nits is a game changer.
Huge. Well, and especially if they're the way they are with shadow detail and how they want to control the blooming now, the 4,000 nits will be implemented correctly.
Yep.
And accurately.
Okay.
Oh, I want to quickly talk about with Samsung displays. I love that they did that. What's the name of the certification they had where they compared the reference monitor to the QD OLED?
Pantone? Or
Pantone.
the Pantone color
certification.
certification.
It's pretty amazing considering we always say that Samsung's not accurate.
Oh, they work hard.
It looks just like the reference monitor.
Well, but this was a recent change.
Yep.
And Classy has noticed this. Wait, out of the box, Samsung is suddenly pretty good, pretty accurate. And not just the calibrator. I work with Sammy Prescott. I'm like, you know what, this is pretty good out of the box. I mean, we can make it better, but it's within the 3% that you want.
Well, and
which
it's the
is
QD
better.
OLED doing it though. It's within their technology versus Samsung tweaking it. It's their film is based that way. Is what I'm trying to say. They won a Nobel Peace Prize
Yeah, they did. They did know
for
that.
chemistry.
Nobel
Did not
Prize
know that.
for it. But It was long in coming. Those guys did it in the 80s, the 90s, and then 2000. Finally, were recognized like 20, 30 years later, right? Wow. So is Lisa buying another TV? She's got like an A95K.
She's got the 80L.
The 80L. Now for the Mini LED. Lisa, where do you put all this TV? Does Sony not? They used to do stuff at CES, but it's not. It's working out better for them to have a dedicated Sony TV day on a separate venue later in the year.
And if we're guessing too, because Sony sources things from everyone else, they have to wait for parts. They have to wait. I think they find it better.
They're waiting for 3000 nit QD-OLED.
I think they're better off waiting, and then they can tweak.
Now, Mihail's comment is interesting. Just because critical reviewers don't like something, the frame doesn't make it a big seller, because the frame dominates all models in Samsung's lineup. So Mihail says LG will dominate all the brands this year. And so I want to think about that, because I know to dominate all the brands, they have to beat Samsung. Now, what is it that's going to dominate? OLED? Will the B4 dominate? Like, I don't know. What are we dominating?
You're saying LG, which one?
Right, which
the
QNED, QNED, right?
You must be being the G4, but it's just being a bit brighter. It's going to have a bit more than that.
And the G4 is so expensive. You cannot, expensive TVs cannot dominate sales. It's too expensive. Will you dominate reviewers' hearts? Are you saying the reviewers will choose the LG, any LG? I don't know.
Well, reviewers like, from what we read, reviewers, they like the matte finish. A couple of them do.
Flat panels HD, Rasmus thought it was good.
They like it. I think you guys may choose the G4 for not having it, to be honest, and if it's brighter.
Well, if you can afford it.
And we'll see what the S95D brightness will be. Okay. Just because Schrag says it can do 3000, this doesn't mean they'll let it do 3000.
Honestly, I already see the narrative. S90D, G4. If you have the money, you're looking at the G4. If you don't, it's the S90D. That means the S90D will destroy the C4, the B4. It's not until you go into a cheaper QNED, then Sony is there with their X90 follow-up.
Well, now Samsung has this other 85, which is
probably W-O.
Which is W-O.
Actually, we don't know. So let's talk about Samsung's S95D, S90D, and S85D. So when I asked them which will be W-OLED, they wouldn't even tell me that.
They wouldn't. So they had a 42 and a 48. And then they had
guessing that's W-OLED.
Those W-OLED. Then they had this random 85 inch with a curved back to it, or 85
S85D.
S85D, which looks like it goes after the A75L from Sony.
And it could be QD-OLED. They would not say.
But we're guessing that
I'm hoping it's QD-OLED.
If it was QD-OLED, they would let us know, because why stand on ceremony?
But look at S89C. The S89C ended up being a QD-OLED. I thought it would be W-OLED. It was inexpensive, $19.99 at Best Buy. And it ended up being a QD-OLED. That was a shocker. So
which one was that?
S89C.
Not the 83 inch.
It's a 77-inch only.
Oh yeah, that was just the numbers thing. But what was the?
It was a cheaper QD-OLED than the S90C. Yeah. And that was a shocker. I was convinced it was W-OLED. I'm like, wait. So they could do the same with the S85D.
That would be nice.
So we're guessing. We really are.
That'd be bargain prices.
I'm hoping. And remember this. Samsung was having problems selling QD-OLED as well. They need to push out their inventory. If they have second-gen panels they have to get rid of, S85D is a great way to get rid of it.
Absolutely. Smart.
I mean, I want them to get rid of all the second-gen so they can put in the third-gen.
Yeah, because we know the true benefits of it now.
Yeah.
Isn't just software. It's built in.
Oh, 3,000 nits is 3,000 nits. I just want to watch content that gives us a 3D image without having to wear the glasses. How impressed were you by the 3D monitor, gaming monitor? Was it gimmicky to you, or was it effective?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it's something that was cool. Again, a 10-minute experience. It's cool to sit with it. Would I play that way? No.
I mean, would you watch the news? I mean, it's always on.
So yeah, exactly. Well, you can see both.
You can see behind these glasses.
Yeah, it's like, but gaming is hard because the motion. But when you turn your head, there is a bit of that. Not the ghosting we used to have, the double image, but it's just not as clear. The thing is, in order to get that 3D, you lose clarity. So I would never trade in. We're all chasing clarity. So I don't want to lose that. So I'd love to see it, but a lot of these companies are doing it.
So now people are wondering, these are LG fans, let's be fair. They want to upgrade their LG OLED, right? G4 is the easy TV. G4 is looking good. I'm waiting for reviews. And a lot of people are predicting maybe, is the G4 worth forking out for? Should I get a G3? I mean, and we know the difference really is, okay, so it's slightly brighter. Now we're going to wait for measurements, how much brighter. And the Alpha 11 could be a game changer if implemented properly, like XR
So
Clear.
now we're back into the XR Clear conversation of why
Alpha 11, XR Clear.
XR Clear. So to me, if it's brighter at all than the G3, which I think it's going to be, it is brighter than the G3 from what they've already said. You add the extra processing, then it's clearly a better TV. So I would then, when we say what is it worth forking out for, I do personally think your financial situation dictates that. To me, we spend a lot of money for a little bit of difference.
Very little.
For a little bit of difference. What technology is. If the money's not there, then it's not worth it. But if you have the money, you have to decide if it's worth it.
The biggest insult was paying more for the G2 and the C2 was exactly the same. Remember? We have the A90J versus C2 versus G2. We're like, wait, why are we not buying the C2?
Very
that
much
was
so,
phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, in certain scenes, maybe, but
very rare. Hey, Crypto, thanks for this comment. FOMO, do you think we will be able to watch movies and play video games with hologram tech? I think that's what the Vision Pro is going for. Now, we'll be reviewing that once it's out in February. That technology makes more sense because it's designed to be holographic. They're taking an all-new technology to fit this new platform, whereas the TV is made to be 2D. They're trying to fit 3D into a 2D platform, and it doesn't work as well.
You can't get behind it. You know what I mean? With a headset or whatever, you can actually get around it. Where TV, it's still, when you turn, it's still going to be flat.
Oh, let's talk about the stand. Apparently, the G4 will only offer the stand at 55 and 65.
Yep.
That is correct. And
I'm guessing it's stability.
Yeah.
It's very low profile. It also has two sections. It can go up and down for soundbar, which they haven't done before.
Yep.
It's very sleek, but I'm guessing stability is why they're not going larger. What's interesting though, because the 8K QLED TVs have an even more low profile stand, and they handle mini LEDs. I don't know why LG can't do that, but maybe it's price.
I really enjoy this comment by Steve because it gets to the point of why we review TVs. Vincent and CNET Plus HD TV are very impressed with the LG TV, and it's always in a vacuum. The thing is, until we have it side by, I always tell you guys,
I'm impressed with it too.
No matter what OLED TV you get, you don't love it until you put it next to another OLED. Then you start to see the differences. If you do not have another OLED next to it, it's an easy buy. The C4 looks great. I mean, okay, at the LG display, I was in front of the C4. I was like, damn, that's a good looking TV.
Yeah. Well, it's still an OLED. I mean, don't get it twisted. I love the G4. I think G4 is the TV. If I was in the market this year, G4 would probably be the one. Now that we're at 83, definitely considering it.
And you guys have seen my positive reviews of the G3. It is my choice in a bright room. And I've recommended it all the time for people who want stable WebOS. Actually, given the instability of the A95L in my talks with Glossy, not a lot of people will like that instability. They might end up getting the Samsung instead or a WebOS driven TV. So quality of life, quality of ownership should be 50% for most people, if not more. I mean, your TV is not working predictably. It's not good. And LG WebOS, I'm going to have to pause and say they did a good job making it stable.
Yeah. Well, we also want to see the screen uniformity with QD-OLED was so much more improved than W-OLEDs. We'd love to see MLA also have improved screen uniformity, right, FOMO? So we don't have that same issue. Not the pink screen, but just banding.
And that's out of their control. LG Display, if they don't fix uniformity, you can only get rid of it like Sony. We don't like it. But then for everyone they bin out, it raises the prices.
Of course.
The Sony tax goes to them getting rid and rejecting some of these bad TVs as well. Keep that in mind.
Well, and a lot of that's content dependent as well. So even if you're testing it, certain content shows it that even testers wouldn't see until they get it home to look at.
I like Nathan's question here. How bright do you think Samsung will push their W-OLED? So economics. Samsung doesn't want to threaten QD OLED. I mean, at MLA Plus, all these things that's available to them from LG Display. If the purpose of W-OLED is to sell a cheaper OLED, they won't push it at all. Why should they, right? You're going to get the cheapest possible panel from LG Display to sell you a good W-OLED that most people, A2, A3 enthusiasts, Where I need it for the bedroom, I just want infinite contrast. It's a bedroom TV, just give me a large size. That's the TV for them. But if you want a high performance TV, they wouldn't use W-OLED. They'll just go to their sister company, Samsung Display, get a 3,000 nit QD-OLED.
Yeah.
Wow. 446 people in chat. I love you guys.
Yep.
At a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Don't forget to click like, guys.
They'll kick us out of here.
I know. We're sitting here drinking coffee. All right. Don B says G4 has a second gen MLA, higher brightness than the G3. And Don, so this is a lecture that they sat me down to tell me. It is not just the MLA. Like Samsung Display, working on the circuitry and software, LG did the same. Using software, they elevated the brightness of the G4 as well, because they're saying that MLA may not be good enough. We might have to find the next generation, whatever it is, because they have to push it harder. You're seeing the limits of what MLA can do. They're pushing with software as well. So the G4 has the Alpha 11. It's not on the C4. Maybe if it was on the C4, it could push that one brighter, but they have to separate it. And that's the crazy thing. What if the C4 had this Alpha 11? Would it get brighter just based on software circuitry?
Well, they're saying the C4 is brighter anyway, but I don't, that's the same maybe how they're pushing.
But it's not that. No, right. Samsung needs to get rid of the One Connect box because it's pointless. So Brandon, for gamers, it's pointless, but for the homeowner
love it.
who wants the clean install and they're just watching, streaming, whatever.
One long cable?
One long cable, right? Even though you have to buy a new cable like I did, you have to buy an optional 15-meter cable for like $250.
Well, and people love to be able to have the box in another compartment and then just unplug. But I could take it or leave it.
Yep,
I know why it's more expensive. It feels like a PlayStation. It's a whole other component.
And Robert, I'm going to reiterate. Good question. I asked Sharad this. How reliable will this 3000 be? Right? Sharad, did you just show your lifetime? He started laughing. He goes, that's the point.
More efficient.
We used less energy. So what jeopardizes the life of OLED in general, W-OLED, QD-OLED, is the heat.
Yeah.
And by using less energy, he says it's running cooler at 3,000 nits. So the life, if anything, has been extended by this software upgrade. So that's why he said, without saying it, if you wanted to, you could probably push 4,000 nits and jeopardize the life.
Let's also give them more headroom. If they can do it by efficiency,
yes,
then they may be able to get even more efficient and create more.
So to answer your question, the reliability is exactly the same. And well, Sharad says it's arguably better because it's
less hot than a WRGB OLED that was next to it.
Less hot than WRGB. So here's another test. LG G4 with the latest against the third gen QD OLED. What does that heat look like? Yeah. The hotter TV will struggle more over time than the less hot one. The cooler TV technically should live longer because of that.
Heat is the enemy of electronics, right?
Yes. Hey, Chris, thank you for that super chat, my friend. I'm running a real legacy TV. It's a real legacy. That means it's old. LG flagship, LED at the time. What do I get? G4, larger QMA. Ooh, G3 when the price drops. I think because you're coming from an old TV, what do we say? The QMA at 98 inches.
If you want to, what size is the TV? I mean, if you're looking at a legacy, that's probably a 55-inch TV.
Tell me what the largest TV you could fit. Yeah. If the largest TV is a 77-inch, the G3.
Yeah. Your size will dictate what you're looking for, because you might be coming from something that legacy TV might be 42 inches.
If you're looking at 100-inch, you can't afford the 97. You got to go with the QM8. So tell me your size. If it's up to a 77, I'd go with the G2. Forget the G4 because it's so much better than the LED. You save money, you'll be happy. No doubt. Thank you for the super chat, Matt. Gen 3 QD OLED is 300 FF, but if it drops to 150 nits after 5 minutes, not going to beat G4 for sports. If that's the case, possibly, because I've been very impressed with how the G3 sustains brightness. Yeah. What's the FF white on the G4? Hope G4 is better. So, as many of you know, we do not trust the specs of manufacturer. We really have to test it. They don't tell us the duration, like how long is it holding that peak brightness. what is the content? Is it static? Is it moving?
Yeah.
So static content, it will drop. But in sports, you have movement. Is it going to sustain it? Good questions. We won't know. This is actually a testing question that we will explore. So when I do my live stream testing, which we will do, come back, Max, and we'll probably be able to do this in April. So assuming LG and Samsung release their TVs in April, well, assuming the 300 nit full screen is available in April. If it's Q3, that could be next year. But at least we'll take the G4 against the G2 QD-OLED, Generation 2 QD-OLED.
Yep.
See what's up. But they already beat Generation 2, so G4 will destroy it.
Yeah.
Because the G3 was brighter already. But good question. Good question. Thank you, David E, for the super chat. Thanks for the coverage, Flo.
Our pleasure.
We are having fun. We love this coverage, guys. Lisa, hey, another excellent live stream. My next TV will be a TT.
The cart? Audio?
Audi TT? TT. It's a, what do you think it means? Will be a
triluminous
taser. Transparent TV?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
transparent TV.
All right.
All right. John Riffamato. He just wants to buy me ice at Las Vegas.
What's up, John?
Thank you, John.
How are you, bro?
Hopefully I answered your question, John. But call me later and we'll talk. You guys are awesome. Oh, here we go. Any feedback from LG concerning the screen uniformity and the magenta tint on the G4? They don't comment on that. But
you have to admit it's there before you can comment on it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that kind of party?
It's one of those things where they cannot make a commitment either way. So we'll know. I mean, they know, right, John? But John, you actually have the engineer's phone number in Korea. You need to tell me.
Hit him up.
Let us know. Because we talked to the product managers, and their job is to not say anything bad. Yeah. You talk to the engineers, and the attorneys
complain about it. Like, like things making me crazy.
And they don't even ask you to sign NDAs, right? Anything we ask.
They're just venting. They're venting. They're like, this thing sucks.
There's hope. There's hope. There's always hope. Oh, here we go. We got it right. Transparent TV.
I got it wrong. Audi TT, just not car.
The G seems to always be running 10% discount codes when you buy direct, which also makes a difference compared to Sony. Oh, I didn't know that. See, thanks for letting us know.
No, we haven't.
Samsung, you have to be a member, and they do really good discounts. Very aggressive. About 20% as well. Oh, of course, Getty. TCL Hisense SES. Yes. Tomorrow begins our coverage of Hisense and TCL. I'm going to be doing the Hisense booth tour tomorrow morning, and I'll be posting that by the next day. So you'll see my Hisense coverage. And TCL will be the day after. So they're here and they are ready to say, we belong with the big boys.
I think so.
And when they say we belong, we're ready to charge you $5,000 and you'll be glad you paid.
You want to belong? Here's how much it costs.
Here's how much it costs to belong.
I can be like, you get a G-Man, made more money selling this.
Do any manufacturers comment on any defects of their panels? No, all they do is they take out a notebook and listen to us.
Yeah.
They will tell you what is fixed. Like, let me example. We talked to Sharad, Samsung Display, about people's complaints. The RGB pixel layout. When you use that as a PC monitor, the text, there is a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's much clearer than
that chromatic aberration. They addressed it. Now, it's still there slightly, but it's better. Is it good enough for you is the question, but the fact that they do listen. So they did address it. And when we talked to him last year about it, he acknowledged it. And in the off season, they addressed it. I love that. Yeah. So all TVs, 3rd gen, have the new pixel structure layout. It's still triangular, but it's improved. Hey guys, the next TV will be the C477, I think. Oh, let us know why. Not to criticize, but I'm wondering, what is it you think?
Yeah,
it is, because we honestly don't know what to expect in the C4, although I am a little disappointed that it's very similar to the C3. So my question to you is, why not save money and get the C3?
Well, I think it's having each one very, very similar to the first. Like I thought the C1 was a big jump from the CX, then it kind of went C2, C3. Just little gradual changes, which is fine. Don't go backwards, but Everyone else is trying to leapfrog each other.
Great question. Oh, is my internet getting rough here? Let me double check. No, it should be fine. There we go. Nathan, good question. Any word if we will see OLED from TCL or any other companies? This is a good question, Nathan, because you have to always ask, where's the money? Follow the money. TCL and Hisense, they want to sell TVs that sell. If they were to use OLED from LG Display or Samsung, just the panel alone is so expensive, which means they would have to charge you more. And they know, will you buy an OLED from Samsung or will you buy an OLED from TCL? Same size, wouldn't they sell more TVs to you if they sold you a mini LED at two sizes up? So 65-inch OLED or an 85-inch mini LED, same price. That 85-inch mini LED also makes them more money, and for that reason, TCL and Hisense are not exploring OLED until OLED prices, raw panel prices drop further, or until TCL's own native RGB inkjet printed OLED system comes online and is able to allow them to charge less for the OLED TVs, and that's at least 3 years away. But we're not going to see OLED from those companies anytime soon until W-OLED production costs drop further so they can charge TCL and Hisense less. But good question, because where is it? Yep. Hey, good to see you back, Taris. Thank you for that super chat. 42-inch OLED I want for the bedroom. Prefer Google TV. A90K is a 2022 model. Should I wait? Yes, you should. Maybe Sony will offer a 42-inch OLED. Maybe. Now, the good news is 42-inch, yeah, there's no QD OLED at 42-inch.
What was Sony had the A90K? Wasn't that 42?
It was.
Very expensive, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite a master series. A9's too small.
Let's wait. Let's see what Sony says at CES, because the A90K is still there. No one's buying it. So.
Good seeing it from the S90, though.
Yeah. What's the price of the G4? Okay. Generally speaking, with these minimal changes, meaning pretty much everything is similar except the new Alpha 11, I'd say bank on it being a similar price as the 55-inch G3. So however that is at launch. Now, if you're wondering, is the price going to drop significantly from last year, given the rate of inflation overall? If you're making more money this year than last year, no, because it's just keeping up with inflation.
Exactly.
Don't bank on the price dropping much from the G3. I think we're at a steady price point. So, yeah. Thank you, Chris, for that super chat. Coming from a 50-inch. That's great. Just bought a new house, so time for an upgrade. Does the answer change in the 70-plus inch versus 80-inch range? QM8 versus G3 based on the last answer. You can go over 80 inches, 98-inch QM8. Now, I'm doing this sight unseen because they're going to improve a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to say QM8 like this model. 2024 98-inch. You're going to have such a large selection. Hisense, TCL, Samsung, Sony, and even LG QNED will come in a 98-inch size. Focus on the 98-inch size. You have a new house, get the large size, you're going to love the immersion.
You got a new house, baby. Spend more money.
What are your thoughts? Because he's throwing in the G3.
Coming from a 50-inch. I mean, would you say 98-inch?
He said 80 plus. He opened it up. He opened it up. Didn't give me a limit.
You started with the lowest end is 80 plus. Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, go for it, man.
Now, if he said, I got to stop hard at 83 inches.
Or if he said, look, I don't have any money left. I just built a house. You're like, you know what? You need a transparent OLED, baby. 40 grand.
I'll tell you this. We all have wives and kids and neighbors. Wives, kids, and neighbors, they walk in, they see the 98-inch, they're not leaving. No matter how good your 77-inch, they're like, okay, I mean, it's nice, they'll like it, but it's still 77-inch. It's like the best 50-inch TV is still 50 inches. And I'll tell you, the 98-inch is way better than the 50-inch. Because I know your 50-inch is not an OLED. Your 98-inch is going to be a huge.
How do you know?
I know.
Didn't make those, huh?
It's like a random 79-inch TV.
So it sounds like you're coming from
Insignia.
Insignia. No judgment here.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you for the generosity. Jay Steph for that super chat. Love the coverage. Hey, we love you for being here.
Very
Small
generous
dinner.
of you.
Yes. You know, I am taking.
He's taking me a
Brian
dinner
out
tonight. Was it tonight? We'll
tonight.
do late.
No, you know I'm gonna get next. Whoops, that was 1-0 too many.
I have to give you 5 cents. One of our guys gave 500.
500.
And
And then his wife almost left him.
he was like, you know, Brian, we're going to get some more Sizzler. And then it was like $5. He's like, my bad.
McNuggets.
Going to McNuggets, baby.
You guys are
Not even a
awesome.
large Happy Meal. Thank you so much. So generous of you.
All right. And hey, 400 in chat. Click like, guys. We're gonna end this in about 15 minutes. Wrap it up. I'm gonna go work out. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired this morning. He wakes up.
I did work out though.
You know, work out. It's like 5:45. I'm dead. You go work out. I'm just gonna sleep in. And now the energy is back. So it looks like the LG G4 is a hit among our
I mean, I
people.
can't wait. So when he goes to train, I'm gonna go finish my G4 video. I have a G4 short up now. Check it out on my channel. I think it's great.
And how much of this is because of
the coating on the
anti-glare?
I think
is
it
this why the
I think they are
G4
within.
wins?
I think they're within, and I think that's why it's a bad move.
It's an unforced error.
And the question is, no one ever said the S90 beat the G3. It was the S90 was close enough to the S95 and beat the others. I don't think the S90 beats the G4.
And
so then that's going to be tough.
And so, any news on the Samsung QNED, QNED, QD nanorod, micro LED layer, blue layer? The answer is, since they were able to push QD OLED, I don't say push, they got it brighter, so easily within a year. I don't think we need to visit QNED until they've exhausted what they're doing with QD OLED. So if they can hit 4,000 units, they're going to run away with it without touching QNED, and I'm so proud of them for that.
Well, and they really did show more of the micro LEDs, the unibody. They did show more about that. So I think they are kind of prepared for the future.
Oh, can we tell the
I
story?
almost check it out.
The
So
story,
if you guys come into these casinos, the places are massive, right? I had just gotten off a plane. His flight was delayed. So I went to go register. There's all these kiosks. And this woman, I wait in line, and she says, now I have all my luggage. We're going to get in. We couldn't check in early. So she's like, can I have your name for your reservation? I give my name. She can't find it anywhere. Now I know him and I have to get changed without going into our rooms. He's not even here yet. So she's like, I can't find a registration. She goes, don't panic. We'll take care of it. I go, you can't find my hotel registration. You don't want me to panic? She goes, we'll figure it out. So I booked it like 6 months ago. I go to the bathroom. I come back out. I go, can you please look again? She goes, are you booking for the hotel or for the buffet? I said, the hotel. She goes, oh, this is for the buffet. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And the layout.
You have security for the buffet
you
like
got
this.
security. You got computer terminals
You
everywhere.
had like the Delta terminals for the buffet. No wonder I thought I was checking into my room.
And then we turn around and it looks exactly the same in the sports book. You got these terminals.
Yeah.
So he's
Well,
trying to register at the
I'm
sports
trying to
book.
register. Yeah, but for her to tell me at my hotel, hey, we don't have the reservation. You'll be fine. I'll be fine. It's $2,000 for a couple days.
Hey, thank you, Leo, for watching. Love your video this morning, FOMO. So cool, like a Hollywood pro quality. And Leo, I have
His
to
video was awesome.
give credit where credit is due. Drex Lee, if you guys haven't seen his videos, he's on YouTube, he's on TikTok. Drex Lee is a friend. He taught me how to do epic one-shot videos. We were at a car show together, the New York Auto Show, and he was running all over, doing all these crazy things. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, oh, haven't you seen my videos? You know, he does music videos and whatever. And he gave me a crash course in shooting epic one shots, the way you guys saw it. I was like, oh, this is genius. I need to get the right camera though. And it took me almost 2 years to get the right camera to do it. We have the right camera. It is the DJI Pocket 3 that I'm using to do this. And get this, so funny. I pull out my Pocket 3 at LG. I look down, 5 YouTubers have the same Pocket 3. Me, KG, Shauna, Brandon, some dude in the back, and then Shauna's like, I got 2 more in my back.
Yeah.
That Pocket 3 is amazing. And it has,
What is the form factor?
oh, you're just like this walking around all day. And you can run around with it. You can do backflips with it, and it captures everything. So thank you, Leo. It just makes it funner for us to do content. I'm trying to convince him to get one.
I'm trying to get one too.
Yeah,
So.
it's going to be so much fun. And thank you guys for being here. All TCL's offering a giveaway for the new 150-inch QLED. Gonna enter my wife.
Will enter your wife?
Will stuff a brick if we win, because you have to buy a new house.
Oh.
Right? What
So you save money in the TV and spend a couple $100,000 on the house?
Yeah, you have to, right? You stick it in your closet. What's that? Oh, let's talk Edgelit, LG. LG's 86-inch QNED Edgelit was impressive.
It was.
Even though it's in a vacuum, easily one of the better TVs that was Edgelit that I've seen.
Yeah, we'd love to see maybe some black bar content on it. We didn't see that.
If they could do 98-inch, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That could be the.
Well, they are doing it, right?
I mean, they are doing it.
They are.
That's a if that 98-inch holds up like the 86, that's a value 98-inch proposition. Z4 8K OLED. Sorry, Z3 rolling over.
Yep, rolling over.
Does the S95D have the One Connect box? Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes. And there's no change to the One Connect box. As far as I know, I could be wrong. Maybe Korea snuck in.
The 8K One Connect box is slimmer and it sits upright. Doesn't have that tilt anymore. So that they did change that, but it looks like the S95 is the same.
Sony should refocus their 4,000 nit hype and get rid of black bars completely. And John, I think that's what they have arguably done with the X95L, right? You had the X95L, you tested it, you saw it. The black bars were pretty impressive. It's
the X95L was only 2,500 nits though.
Yes.
So I mean that was part of where Z9K has blooming in the black bars. So we thought that was the we thought that was their compromise. The control blooming was to chill with the brightness, but now they're saying let's do it. So we'll see what Rob Brennan has to say about it.
Yep. And with that, hey, everyone's heading out to watch the game, and I think it's a great time for us to wrap up.
Absolutely.
Bye, guys. We're going to be covering more now. I'm going to post more stream stuff. So as you see the streams pop up, there'll be less notice. But just check. If you subscribe and alert, you'll be alerted when our next stream is. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, this is great news. Let's do a stream, right? So we'll be streaming as much as we can. Find great internet, and we will. Like I got my phone here connected to my hotspot, connected to here. I'm plugged into the coffee shop. We're trying to fight the copyright guys by trying to noise reduce the music. Dua Lipa and random Lady Gaga.
Well, guys, check out my channel. I have videos up already from what we've already covered. I'm putting up videos all the time, so check out my channel, Brian Steyer. I never even mentioned my channel around here.
I see you all the time. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Dylan. Rumors on the S brand audio. Oh, Sony audio, HT-A9 successor. We'll ask at the black box because CES, Sony's technically not here, but we'll ask about the HT-A9. Now, the Q990D, I saw it. It wasn't called 990D per se, but it looked very similar to the 990C.
We saw it today.
Yeah, we saw it.
It sounded great, though. The rears sounded amazing.
But 990C sounded great, so I don't think they're adding any new equipment. I'd say get the 990C and save some.
They're adding a new codec, their own new.
Oh, the Immersion, the new
ACR10 Plus.
I should have told them to change the name.
Yeah.
I should have told them to hire me to give them a new nickname because this IAMF thing is. But they're working closely with YouTube, so that Brian and I could be in upmix surround, and not only that, they're going to use AI to make my voice bounce behind you while Brian's voice is in front of you, and it'll start to rotate. Because I told them I need you guys to upmix our voice for spatial because the creators aren't doing it. So the new spatial availability is great. All right, KR Fraser, thank you for that super chat. Any word on the Q95D? No, we saw the new QLED. You wouldn't tell us if that's the 95D or the 90D, but we noticed that the back was very similar to the 90C. It wasn't a One Connect box. Could be the 95C. That's the 95D. We won't know details.
I'm guessing. Last year's Q95 was very exclusive to just a few retailers. I don't think they want to do that again. Even though it was a very good TV, I don't think it was a big seller. I think you'll see a consolidation there.
We love you, Lisa. Thank you for watching.
Love you, Lisa.
All right, and with that, let's tell them what to expect this year as far as testing. Full field white test, I wait your results, and screen uniformity on the 83-inch G4. Our next big event after CES is at Value Electronics, Robert Zones.
Yep.
We try to go there. We make a pilgrimage to Value Electronics in the spring to give you the earliest side-by-side comparison. It's not a shootout per se, but rather it's an early comparison of the latest technologies against last year's technology. When we did it the first time, we're like, the C2 looks awesome. Just get the C2.
Yeah.
And then last year, the S95C matches the QN900. S95C Q900C was a match. Get the 95 and the G3, not quite there. And we saw all of that so early in the year, and they all looked better than the G2. Put that one to shame.
Yep.
So yeah, check out our spring. Robert, you're still here. We're going to do definitely a spring early shootout coverage of the TVs available in April and May. So you guys get a first shot at checking this out. Class, let's start the football. What's the coating like on the Q90B? Was it pure glossy like the 90C or the anti-glare of the 95C?
They look glossy.
It looked glossy or semi-gloss, and they didn't make a point of it either way. So we're suspecting it's probably the same, nothing special.
They're a bit unmiraculous, to be honest. I wouldn't expect big jumps in the QLED.
Yeah.
They weren't given much love either. They were just kind of thrown in the corner.
You're absolutely right, Roberts. DCMA, DMCA is probably going to cancel this. So enjoy this live stream while it's still available. Thank you all, and thank you to you. We're going to end the stream in 3, 2, 1. Stop the promo. Bye.